Welcome back. You're watching Connect the World with me, Becky Anderson. Well, the latest round of hostage and ceasefire talks are expected to resume in Qatar in the coming hours. A source telling CNN an Israeli delegation led by the country's spy chief will travel to Doha and is expected to meet with the Qatari Prime Minister and Egyptian mediators there. Now, it comes as Hamas defends its latest ceasefire proposal, calling it, quote, logical. CNN's Paula Hancock is in Doha and she joins us live from there. Paula, what do we have at this point?
Well, Becky, we know that there were some key meetings on the Israeli side on Sunday. They had a war cabinet meeting, a security cabinet meeting, and within that, an Israeli diplomatic source tells us they decided their red lines. So the Mossad director, David Barnea, coming here to Doha to start those talks this Monday, knows exactly how far he can go and what he can agree to and where he has to walk away. So we have heard the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu call this counter-proposal from Hamas absurd and unlikely. But he has still sent a delegation here. He is still pushing forward with this. So that is giving some hope that potentially there is something to be done. Now, the counter-proposal from Hamas, we've heard from a senior Hamas leader, they believe that it is logical. They believe that they have clarified their position, and we've heard from Hamas officials in recent days as well that they believe that they have been flexible. So the latest they have is they want to see in phase one, because this would be a multi-phase negotiation and ceasefire, is within this 6-week ceasefire that's expected, they want 700 to 1,000 Palestinian prisoners to be released. And in return, there could be all-female hostages, including IDF soldiers, the elderly, the injured and the sick would be released. This according to other officials and sources. That could amount to some 40 hostages. So that potentially is phase one. We have heard, though, from an Israeli diplomat or a diplomat familiar with these talks that they believe this will be a hard sell for Israel. And we've heard an Israeli officials say that they believe that there are very tough negotiations ahead. But what we're hearing is a similar set of conditions that we have been hearing for some time, certainly. The sticking point and the significant gaps we see between the positions of Hamas and Israel is, of course, when it comes to a potential permanent ceasefire. Israel simply does not want that at this point. The Israeli Prime Minister making very clear again on Sunday that he intends to go into Rafah and that could take several weeks, that operation. Becky?
Paula Hancock is in Doha. Well, it is day 8 of Ramadan here in Abu Dhabi and around the region since negotiators missed making a deal by the start of the Islamic holy month. The focus now is on reaching an agreement before it ends and, crucially, before Israel goes ahead with a ground operation in Rafah. That is the focus of all key players in this region, and Oman is no exception. I spoke to Oman's Foreign Minister on Friday about that global call for de-escalation. Here's what he told me.
President Biden has called the Israelis not to move onto Rafah. The whole world is calling Israel not to move onto Rafah. I think enough is enough. And I will join Vice President Harris' call for a ceasefire now. The whole of the Gaza Strip is infeminine and it is unspeakable. And this has not been caused by a natural disaster or a disease. This is the doing of the state of Israel in complete violation of international law.
Is Israel, to your mind, weaponizing aid and intentionally starving Gazans, specifically in the north?
Yes, I think that is what is happening. That is what, not only me saying that, but the whole international community and UN agencies are really witnessing a deliberate policy of starvation and siege on the people of Gaza.
Kamala Harris has called for a ceasefire, albeit temporary.
There must be an immediate ceasefire. For at least the next 6 weeks.
How much pressure do you think America still can bring to bear on the Israelis at this point?
In the 1990s, and due in no small part to the courage and wisdom of the then Secretary of State, James Baker, the United States convened an international conference that would eventually lead to a historic agreements between Israel and the Palestinians. I think the United States has the capacity to do exactly the same nowadays.
Let's talk about the potential for a peace conference that you are calling for, including having Hamas at the table. Realistically, with this current Israeli government, the country's most far right ever, do you see them agreeing to that?
The purpose of the conference will be to translate the will of the international community for a two-state solution into action.
And the Taoiseach and I agree about the urgent need to increase humanitarian aid in Gaza and get the ceasefire deal. Get a ceasefire deal that brings the hostages home and move toward a two-state solution, which is the only path for lasting peace and security.
Whether today or tomorrow, the whole world has said again and again, there is no other way to have sustainable peace in the long term except the establishment of a two-state solution.
Do you support Senator Chuck Schumer's contention that Israel now needs elections?
The Netanyahu coalition no longer fits the needs of Israel after October 7th. And I believe that holding a new election, once the war starts to wind down, would give Israelis an opportunity to express their vision for the post-war future.
That is for the Israeli people to determine. All I am saying is that sooner or later, I think wisdom should prevail, the common sense should prevail for peace for everybody in the region, not just between Israel and its immediate neighbors, but for the whole region.
CNN has reported that US officials held indirect talks with Iranian officials in Oman in January. This amid rising tensions around this region of the Gulf, in the Red Sea, and the wider Middle East, marking the first engagement between the US and Iran for quite some time. What more can you tell us about those indirect talks? What came out of them?
We need to get people to talk with each other, and everyone has to be involved. Iran is part of the region, and I think engaging with all the regional countries is a very important element, a prerequisite for de-escalation and for bringing a common goal of peace for the whole world. And this is why I also said that both Israel and Hamas should be part of the solution.
The Houthis are creating havoc in the seas around this region. They have said that they will stop when there is a ceasefire in Gaza. Do you believe that? There are many who say that the Houthis are simply taking advantage of this, using the cover of Gaza to really up the ante in these waters around the Gulf. And have you been in touch with the Houthis and or spoken to Iran about their intentions going forward?
Yes, I believe there is a very strong connection. In fact, it's the only connection between what's going on the Red Sea and what's going on in Gaza. If we stop the war in Gaza, we will de-escalate tension everywhere. I believe the freedom of navigation, which is something we all call for, will be resumed.
As somebody who supports the people of Gaza and calls for a ceasefire, does that by implication suggest that you are supporting the Houthis' actions? I mean, they are deadly.
We are a country of peace. We call for peace everywhere. And we cannot simply expect the continuation of these atrocities in Gaza to continue and witness it without lifting a finger on Israel. So I think that is where really the solution begins.
I did, with respect, ask whether you support the actions of the Iran-backed Houthi movement.
We don't support violence. We don't support the disruption of people's lives everywhere. But we have to understand the causes and the reasons and try and address them at the roots of the problem in order to really have a sustainable solution.